Hello everyone. So in the sequence of understanding how to solve the complex electrical circuits, we have discussed Kirchhoff's law in our earlier class. Now we proceed to the next another tool which helps us in solving the complex electrical circuits which has more than one loop, or there are special kind of electrical circuits just like a bridge form. So today we are going to talk on the Wheatstone bridge principle, right? So the Wheatstone bridge principle talks about the resistances, right? So it simply says that if we have four resistors connected in the form of a bridge, just as shown in this electrical circuit. So there are four resistances P, Q, R and S which are connected in bridge form. This is called as the bridge form of the resistances. And we have connected a galvanometer, or we can also connect a resistor here across arm BD from a point between P and Q to the point between R and S. So we have connected here the galvanometer which also has some specific resistance, right? So if the resistors are connected in this way and the statement still begins and there is a condition and the bridge is balanced. Whenever this bridge is balanced, in that particular case, the ratio of these resistors P upon Q, this ratio, it will always be equal to the ratio of resistors R and S, just as this. So this is what Wheatstone bridge principle says, and this happens only when bridge is balanced, right? So whenever bridge is balanced, this ratio will hold true always. So this is what Wheatstone bridge principle says. So let us try to understand what is the meaning of balanced. So when is bridge is said to be balanced? We say that the bridge is balanced whenever there is no flow of current through this arm BD. Or in other way, we can say that whenever there is no current flow through the galvanometer, in that case bridge is said to be balanced, and hence the ratio of these two will be equal to these two according to this equation, right? So why the current will not flow through this arm? Because the potential at point D, electric potential at point D and at point B, it will be same. So whenever we have same potential across two ends of a conductor, the current will not flow through the conductor or any other component we have connected in between. So if it is galvanometer here, there will be no current flow because the potential at point D and B, it will be same. Only in that case there will be no flow of current through this arm BD, right? And if that thing holds, means bridge is balanced, then this ratio will always remain true. So we saw a lot of questions based on the Wheatstone bridge principle. So before going to that, we will just discuss the proof of this Wheatstone bridge principle. So what is the proof? So let me just explain the very basic method to prove the Wheatstone bridge principle. So in the beginning, we define the four resistors P, Q, R and S, and we connect them in the form of a bridge just as this. This is we presume in the proof. Suppose there are four resistances P, Q, R, S which are connected in the bridge form, and there is a galvanometer which is connected across B, D as shown in the circuit diagram. And we connect this circuit to some battery, or we can say source of electric potential or EMF, right? So with the help of this battery of EMF E, some current I will flow through this circuit. Or in other way, we can say that this battery will send the current I amount in the circuit and I amount of current flows through the circuit. At this point A, the current will find two paths. One through A, B, C and another from through A, B, C. So let me say that out of this I current, I1 amount of current flows through P and I2 amount of current flows through R. right? So this is the situation. So I am not writing the values of current through Q for the sake of simplicity of the problem. So this is the situation. Now we can write the expression for the potential difference across P, across Q, across R and across S. So let us write what will be the potential drop across A, B. So from the circuit diagram, electric potential, or just like electric potential difference across P, it is VA minus VB, which is equal to the potential difference across any component P, which is connected across 2 points A and B. It is written as this VA minus VB. It is given by the product of current and the resistor through which it is flowing. So it is I1 into P. This is equation number 1. Similarly, we write the electric potential difference across Q, which is VB minus VC. From the diagram you can see the potential difference across Q, which is the potential difference applied across its ends at B and C. It is VB minus VC. VB is the potential at B and VC is the potential at C. So this difference across Q, it is given by I1 minus, suppose that this I1 current at point P, it finds two paths. Some current flows through this, let it be I3, and out of I1 the remaining current, which is I1 minus I3, it flows through the resistor Q. So therefore the current through resistor Q, it is I1 minus I3 multiplied by the resistor itself. This is equation number 2. And similarly the electric potential difference across R, it is given by R is connected between A and D. So therefore it is VA minus VD. This is equal to I2 times R. This is equation number 3. And the potential across S, it is given by, which is connected across D and C, it is given by. So this is what is the current flowing through this arm DS or through resistor S. I2 current is approaching this point D, I3 current is also approaching this point D, and two currents approaching at point P give rise to the current I2 plus I3, which is going out. So the potential across S, potential difference applied across S, let me just say that it is I2 current which is coming to point D from this side, and it is I3 current which is approaching same point D coming. So there are two currents which are approaching at point D. So it will give rise to a current which is I2 plus I3. So now we can write the expression for the potential difference across S resistor. So which is simply VD minus VC, this is equal to I2 plus I3 into S. This is equation number 4. So we have written the expressions for the electric potential differences across all the four resistors P, Q, R, S. And because now Wheatstone bridge principle says that when resistors are connected in the form of a bridge, just as did here, we have done here, and bridge is balanced, right? In that case, that ratio should hold true. So when this bridge is balanced, I already said that this will be possible with bridges have to be balanced whenever the current through this arm BD is 0. So whenever I3 is 0, which is possible only when potential at point B, VB and potential at point D, which is VD, both are same. So we can say that when bridge is balanced, this current I3 through the galvanometer, it will remain 0, and this VB and VD both will be same at same potential. Then in all these 4 equations we substitute I3 to be 0 wherever it is involved. So it is involved here and here, so it will remain 0. So it is I1 into Q, and it will be equal to I2 into S. And also because VB and VD are same, so in these 2 equations, first 2 equations, we substitute VB to be equal to D, VD. Or you can also substitute VB in lower 2 equations. So I have just substituted here, and now we can make the simplify these 2 equations. So I am writing once again all these equations. So equation number 1, in light of this, which is the condition of balanced bridge, so it becomes VA minus VD, it is equal to I1 into P. Second equation, which is VD minus VC, it becomes equal to, because I3 will be 0, the current through the galvanometer, VD it will be 0, so it will be only I1 into Q. And this equation, it is VA minus VD, it is equal to I2 into R. And in fourth equation, here I3 also becomes 0, so it is VD minus C, it is VC, which is equal to I2 into S. So these are the 4 equations after the condition we have applied. So from here we understand that equation number 1 and 4, their left hand sides are same, and also the equations, these 2 equations, you can give it name 4, 5, 6 and 7. So equation number 4 and 6 are representing the same VA minus VD on the left hand side. It would mean that on the right hand side the terms are also same. Similarly, equation number 5 and 7. So therefore we can say that this and these 2 are same. So it means I1P, it is equal to I2R. So it is I1 into P, this is equal to I2 into R. And second equation we can get from here. So 2 things are representing the same term. So it is I1Q, it is equal to I2S, because the left hand side of both 2 equations are same. Now we divide these 2 equations. So whenever we divide, I1 cancels out on left hand side and I2 cancels out on right hand side. So we are left with only on dividing. This is the next step. So you can write it separately. On dividing, above 2 equations, we say that P upon Q, it is equal to R upon S. So we get the ratio whenever the bridge is balanced, and hence the proof for the Wheatstone bridge principle. We can also prove the same principle, Wheatstone bridge principle, by making use of Kirchhoff's law, which is interesting to know. So how do we use, or we can say how do we prove the truth of Wheatstone bridge principle by using the Kirchhoff's laws? So we have the same circuit. Whenever 4 resistors are connected in the form of a bridge, just as shown here, and then we write some equation according to Kirchhoff's law, and then we apply the condition and hence solve the equations. So let us take 2 loops here. This is the first loop, right, and this is the second loop. So while making use of Kirchhoff's law, we make some assumptions or sign conventions. We can take that current flowing in clockwise direction, it is taken as positive, and in anti-clockwise direction it is taken as negative. Any sign convention you can define in any particular question. So if we take the currents flowing in clockwise direction to be positive and in anti-clockwise direction to be negative, then first we take this loop which is A, B, D, A. So you can define all the terms which are considered in the first hand, and then you can write in loop A, B, D, A. So in this loop, we already know that the Kirchhoff's second law says that total potential drop across, potential drop or total EMF of a circuit, it will always be equal to the sum of potential differences across each and every component present in that circuit. So if we take this loop A, B, D, A, so it is the loop here. So we forget each and every other part of the circuit. So in this loop there are three components: resistor P, the galvanometer G having resistance G, its resistance we can take as capital G, and third component is resistor R. So there are three components in this loop, and there is no cell. If there is no cell, that means in this particular loop the EMF is 0. So we can say the sum of potentials across each and every component. So what is potential across P in this loop? So potential across P, it is nothing but current I1 flowing through P into P, the value of resistor P, plus we are taking this current to be positive because it is flowing in clockwise direction, plus I3 into G. I3 is the amount of current flowing through the galvanometer having resistance capital G. We are writing the resistance of galvanometer to be G, and plus the potential difference across R, which is I2 into R, but this I2 is flowing anti-clockwise direction, so we are taking it to be negative. So minus I2 into R. So this is equal to 0. It is 0 because there is no EMF. According to Kirchhoff's second rule, the potential drop across all the components, the sum of potential drop across all the components, it will be equal to the net EMF of the circuit. But because there is no cell present in that circuit A, B, D, A, so its EMF is 0. So this is the first equation we can write. Similarly, we can write in loop, second loop, which is B, C, D, B. So the loop B, C, D, B, in this loop, again we write the same equation. There is no cell, so on the right hand side net EMF is 0, and on the left hand side we keep all the terms, all the potentials across each and every component. So let us write the potential drop across Q first. So which is I1 into, it is not I1, it is I1 minus I3, because I3 amount of current is flowing through the galvanometer. So remaining current I1 minus I3 into resistor Q, plus then there is another resistor S and galvanometer G through which the current is flowing in anti-clockwise direction. So we take both these two terms to be 0. So let us write the potential drop across galvanometer first, which is I3 into G, plus, and the potential across S, it is nothing but minus of I2 plus I3, or it simply becomes minus here. So it is I2 plus I3 into S. So this is equation number 2. So these two, this will be negative because current is in anti-clockwise direction. So these two terms are negative because current is in anti-clockwise direction, and according to sign convention we have taken here the current in anti-clockwise direction is negative. So that's why these two terms are negative. So we have written the two equations according to Kirchhoff's law. So using Kirchhoff's law is complete here. Now we apply the condition according to the definition of Wheatstone bridge principle. We say that when bridge is balanced, so when bridge is balanced, right, then what will happen? This I3, it will be equal to 0. There will be no current which is flowing through the galvanometer. Hence, the current I3 which we have taken through the galvanometer, it remains 0. So we substitute this value of current I3 to be 0 in these two equations. So here I3 it becomes 0. So then it is I1P plus it becomes 0 and plus minus becomes minus I2 into R is equal to 0, which we can simply write it on the other side. So it becomes I1P, it is equal to I2 into R. So this is the equation number 3. And second equation, what form it takes? I3 becomes 0, so this second term becomes 0 and this also becomes 0. So it is minus I2 into S, and here also the current is 0. So it becomes I1 into Q. This is the only thing which is left here, and this term also becomes 0, and in this term, third term, I3 is again 0, so we are left with minus I2 into S, which we can again take on the right hand side, so it becomes I2 into S. So this is equation number 4. Now we can divide these two equations, divide, and we get, so I1 cancels out with I1 and I2 cancels out with I2. So we are left with only P upon Q on the left hand side, and on the right hand side we are left with R upon S, which is nothing but what Wheatstone bridge principle says: whenever bridge is balanced. Hence the proof.